Hello everyone. In this video, I am going to show you 20 important basic tools which will let you to start your Blender journey. Number one, translation and rotation of the object. So there are two possible ways. Number one, using these two tools. For example, for translation, just select the move tool and now we will be able to move the object along the particular axis. For the rotation, select the rotate tool and now select the object and now we will be able to rotate the object about the particular axis. The second way to perform these two operations is first select the object and now press G. And now we will be able to move the object. If we want to move the object along the specific axis, just we need to press the corresponding key. For example, if you want to move the object along the y-axis, just press Y key and the movement will be restricted to the y-axis. Similarly for the x-axis and z-axis. For the rotation, first we need to select the object, then press G and then R. So now we will be able to rotate the object. So if you want to rotate the object about the specific axis in a similar way like the translation, we just need to press the corresponding key. For example, like we want to rotate about the x-axis or y-axis and z-axis. So this is how we can perform the translation and rotation of the object. Number two, there are 4 different types of display modes in Blender. Before going to explore them, I want to change the color of our object to visualize the difference clearly. These are the 4 different types of display. The number one is the wireframe, as we can see. The second one is the solid mode. The third one is the material preview mode. And finally, this is the render mode. So we can see clearly the difference between the material preview form and the render, which looks more realistic. Number 3, setting the camera view. We can visualize the current view of the camera. Either click on the camera icon or we just need to press the 0 key. So this is a shortcut for the camera view. And this will be the view of our object in the final output after the rendering process. So for example, if I click on the render image, so we can see the final output view of our object. So if we want to change the view and by changing the pose of the camera, so one of the easiest way is to click on the camera icon and then lock the view. And now we can adjust the camera view and by rotating and translation. So in this way, we can change the pose of the camera. And we can see here the camera is shifted from this location to this location. And when we render the image, so now we can see that the view of our object is changed. So in this way, we can change or adjust the camera pose with respect to the object. Number 4, light sources. There are 4 different types of light sources in Blender. Number 1 is the point, 2 sun, the third one is the spot, and the fourth one is the area. So to visualize the effect of the light on our object, so I'm just clicking on the render view, and now click the light source, press the G, and now we can see the effect of moving the light source with respect to the object. So for example, if you want to add another source of light, for example, like I'm adding now the area one, and just by clicking press G and moving to the upward, increase the size of our area, and just click on the point source, delete it. And now I'm just increasing the power of our sources. For example, let's say 1000. So now we can see that the top of our object is more brighter. So in this way, we can use the different types of light sources in Blender. Number 5, cursor. So this is very important to understand the role of cursor in Blender. So for example, first let me to move the cube from the cursor. So I'm pressing DG and then Y. So now this is the cursor position. So cursor is aligned with the world origin. When we want to add something new to the scene, for example, I'm adding the plane. So the center of the plane will be aligned with the center of the cursor. So if I want to change the cursor position, let's say to align with the object center, I need to select the object, then just shift S and now cursor to selected. Now my cursor is moved to the center of the cube. So now if I want to add something new to the scene, so now we can see here the plane is added at the center of the cube. So if you want to bring back the cursor to the world origin, we just need to press Shift S and then cursor to world origin. And now again, when we want to add something new to our scene, then the center of the our object will be aligned with the our cursor position. Number six, quick effects. So there are some cool stuff available in Blender which you can apply to your object. So for that, you first need to select your object and then go to the object tab. Now quick effects, and now for example I am applying the quick fur. So as we can see, the fur is applied to the whole object. So if we want to change the properties of our fur, so we just need to select the fur and then go to the this modifier tab, and here for example we can adjust multiple parameters, for example like the length of the fur, the distance between the fur. So these kind of parameters we can change. So to apply a other quick effects, for example the explode, smoke, liquor, so the method is same. You first need to select the object and then apply the quick effects. Number 7, modifiers. As name indicates, when we want to modify the properties of our objects, we need to apply the modifier. Let me show you by one suitable example. For example, select the object first and then go to the edit mode, and here now we can see the 4 vertices and 1 plane surface, and this is for all of the side of our cube. So if I want to apply the quick effect, for example the explode one, let me show you by setting just the time to 10, and then say we already selected the object, go to the object, quick effect, and then explode. So now I'm just playing the animation, and here we can see that my object is just explode into a few pieces. So if I want that my object exploded to a very tiny pieces in a large number, so I just need to apply the one of the modifier which is called the subdivision surfaces. For example, select the object and then go to the modifier tab, add modifier, and here is the list of modifiers. So I'm applying the subdivision surface. I'm increasing the level which actually represent that how much I want to divide my surface. So the I'm going to keep it up. The sequence is important, which means that I'm first applying the modifier and then the explode effect. So I applied the modifier type, and now I'm going to show you in edit mode, and now here we can see that the now the whole plane is actually divided into a multiple sub surfaces. So if I play the animation again, and here now we can see that my object is now exploded into a large number of tiny pieces. So this is how the modifiers works. Number 8, geometry nodes. So geometry node is very important to know about. The reason is that we can apply a number of changes on our objects. So for example, the one of the well-known example is to, for example, if I want to add a tiny pieces on my whole surfaces, so I will use the geometry node to do this. So let me show you by one just suitable example. So this is our input geometry and this is the output. So anything happen in between will or apply the effects on our output geometry. So for example, I'm just applying the transformation geometry on this. So now this is the input one and this is the output one, and if I change the translations along the x-axis, so we can see that our object is moving along in the similar way the rotation. So in this way we can apply the a number of changes, and here we can see a list of changes available in the Blender, so which we can apply on our object. Number 9, joining and unjoining the objects. Let's consider the first scenario where we want to join the multiple objects into a one whole body. For example, I am going to attach 2 cylindrical parts to this cube. Now we have the two cylindrical parts connected with the cube, and each part is the separated. So if you want to join them together, what we need to do is just hold the shift key and select all of the parts which we want to join, and then just press the Ctrl J. So now we can see that our body is now joined. So in another scenario, in most cases when we downloaded the 3D models from the internet, so most of the bodies are connected. So by applying some of the features like the bones and other stuff, so for that we need to separate or unjoin the body. So in that scenario, select the whole body and go to the edit mode, and now just press the P and now hit the by loose parts. So then again go to the object mode, and now we can see that our object is now separate to the each part. So in this way we can join and unjoin the objects. Number 10, parent frame. In most cases we want to keep our object parts separated from each other, and at the same time we want to move each part of the object together as a whole unit. So in that type of scenario, we need to attach the whole body with the parent frame. For example, I'm adding the empty axis, and by changing the plane type to arrows. So what we need here is just by selecting the each part of the object by holding the shift key, and also select the parent frame, and now just press the Ctrl P and select this options object with keeping the transformations. So now if I select the parent frame and now just press G and I want to move it along x-axis, so now we can see that the object is now moving along the x-axis. Number 11, path following. When we want to move our object along a specified path, so for this we need to add a path to our scene. Just move it along the x-axis to make it visualize. Go to the edit mode and adjust the path according to the requirement. Go to the object mode again, and our final path is look like this. So now the next step is to select the parent frame, and now go to the constraint tab, and here click on the follow path. So here we need to define the target path. So the target path is already present here. So as we selected the target path, the object is moved to the initial position of the curve. And now as we can see, there are some parameters. So here we need to click on the follow curve, and then here the forward axis is by default set to Y, and if we want to move our object with the forward axis set to X, so as I selected the X, the X axis is now the direction of the x-axis is along the curve. So here I need to click on the animate path and just play the animation. So now we can see that our object is moving. Number 12, extrude. This is a very powerful tool in Blender. Let me show you by example. I'm adding a plane to the scene. Go to the edit mode, and here we can interact with this plane in three possible ways. So the first one is by selecting only the vertices, like I'm only able to access the vertex of this plane. The second option is by edge, so here I can select each edge, and the third one is by the face selection. So how the extrusion actually works, so first we need to select the face, edge, or the vertex. Like for example, here I select the face, just press E, and now we can see that our object is extruded along the specified direction. Similarly, if we select on the edge, and here if I select this edge and now press E, so I can move anywhere. So if I want to move it along the z-axis, I need to just press Z, and here we can see that our object is now look like this. So this is a very helpful tool in Blender. Number 13, Bezier Curves. Bezier curve is very important to learn in Blender. The reason is that we can create any shape using the Bezier curve. For example, let's go to the edit mode, and now just play with these vertices, and here we can see that we can create any shape from the Bezier curve. So if I want to add the another Bezier curve to this one, so just press E, and now we can add the multiple Bezier curves. To add the material to the Bezier curves, go to the object mode, select the Bezier curve, and now go to the data mode, and here under the geometry tab, so we can add the material to the Bezier curve. So this is how we can use the Bezier curve and later add the material to the curve. Number 14, wet pen tool. So wet pen tool plays an important role where we need to define the wettage. So for example, let me show you by adding the plane to the scene. If I want to add something to this area only and not to this area, so then I will use the wet pen tool and define this area with the higher priority and this with the low priority. So let's do how we can actually perform this operation. So go to the edit mode, and here I want to mention one thing, that the wet pen tool actually works on the vertices only. So for example, if I want to apply the wet pen tool here, so nothing will work. So let me to show you. So go to this wet pen, and if I do anything here, so nothing will work. So if I apply here and here, so it works. So the red actually indicate the higher priority while the blue indicate the low priority. So to actually access to the whole surface of the plane, so what we need to do is just by adding the modifier, which is the subdivision surface, and here I'm just increasing the level to 3, and now apply, and now let me to show you. Now we have multiple subsurfaces on our plane. So if I apply the wet pen now, so here we can see that now we are able to actually access the center region as well. Number 15, force field. Under the force field, we have a number of options through which we can play with our object. For example, like I'm applying the force field, keeping the position along the z-axis, and increase the strength of the force field by keeping it -500, where the minus indicate the directions. And what we need to do with our object is just keep it as the rigid body, and then we can adjust the mass of our objects. And here we just need to play the animation, and we can see that our object is moving in the force field. Number 16, clothing effect. In Blender, we can easily apply the clothing effect. Let's add the plane to the scene, increase the size of it, and move it along the z-axis. So before going to apply the clothing of physics on the plane, so first I want to increase the subdivision surfaces, increase the level to, let's say, 5, and now I'm also applying the shade smooth feature on it. And now I'm going to the physics tab and select the cloth, and for the cube I'm selecting the collision one. So if I play the animations, and now here we can see that the plane is acting like a cloth, and the cube is actually providing the support to the cloth. Number 17, adding armature to the each part of the body. So for example, I'm adding the armature. So go to the wireframe to visualize it, and selecting the armature and keep it at this position. Now go to the edit mode and select this upper edge, and now just press E, and adding, we can add more and more armature. So again select this one and then this. So now we have this armature configuration. Go to the object mode again, and now if we want to integrate each part with their respective armature, so what we need to do is just by select the body part, hold shift, and then select the armature, and now Control P, and here we need to select with automatic weights. So similarly for the other parts of the body, first select the body and then select the armature, and now Control P, and here with automatic weights. So now select the armature and go to the pose mode and select the armature, and now press the R, and now here we can see that the object is now moving along with the armature. And similarly here, Number 18, rendering. So this is a final step. So there are two most commonly used render engine in Blender. So the first one is this WE, which is the default one, and that is a quite fast render engine. So here I just click and this is the output image. So this is actually a simple one cube, but when we have a complex geometry or the multiple texture, so here actually the difference comes. The another render engine which is quite commonly used is the cycles one, but it actually take little bit time, but the output is far better than the default ones. Number 19, animation. So in this step, we can actually store the information and then replay the information what we have. So let me show you by example. For example, select the object and press the key I. Now I store the information of the object. For example, like this, the location, rotation, and the scale. So each information I saved in this particular instance. And here we can also see the diamond symbol. So if I move the time to the, for example, 50, and here now I'm just moving along the x-axis, and now I'm again pressing the key I, and here we can see that the diamond symbol appeared at this time steps, which indicate that we have now two information in two instances. So this is the initial one and this is the final one. So let me play the animation, and here we can see the our object move from the initial frame to the final frame. So we can adjust the frame as well. So for example, like if I'm moving the target frame to 100, so this will cover in 100 time steps. So there are also another this is the animation tab, and here we can actually go to the graph editor, where we can actually control many things like the speed and the how actually it start and stop. So these kind of parameters we can control through the graph editor. Number 20, the final output animation video. So in last steps we animate this cube, and now we need to store this information in a image forms, and then we will convert that images into a one video. So for this, so we need to click on this tab output, and here we need to define the sum of the resolution parameters, and then the other parameters, frame rates is our depending on our requirement, and here we need to define that where we want to save the images, and these are the other parameters, and then we need to just render animation. So when we click this render animation button, so it will actually save the images, and then in the next step we will open the video editing once, and here we will add the images, so from our wherever we saved, and then we will actually define here again the sum of the parameters, the frame rate, this kind of stuff, and where we want to save our video, and also the in which format we want to save our video, the quality. So then we will again render animation. So when we click this render animation button, it will actually save our final video.